All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music and real drama and doing it in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. So, back in like 2017, 2018, this channel would always get in trouble with Steve Perry fans. Well, I did it again yesterday, apparently. A bunch of Steve Perry fans are upset because I was saying, hey, you got to give Neil and John credit for Don't Stop Believin'. Neil made a good point about keeping the franchise alive and the brand, which was kind of not doing so well after Steve left. And look, Steve left. That's a key point. Sorry to keep bringing it up. And these guys decided to keep going. Steve said, don't crack the stone. Neil isn't too fond of that expression, by the way. I know that very well. I know it firsthand that he doesn't think highly of the whole don't crack the stone. That could be said in a different way. Don't go on without me. That's really what it was. Just don't go. This was too special. Don't go on without me. Now, Neil's making the point again that the band is great with Steve, and he would have preferred to have Steve. I mean, they've made so many overtures to Steve Perry. Hey, Steve, if you want to come back, it's not Journey that's keeping Steve Perry from being in the band. It's Steve Perry, and it has been. Now, I get it. He had a rough childhood. He had relationship issues. There was apparently some abuse in Steve Perry's childhood. He talked about that with Dan Ruther in the big interview with Dan Ruther and Steve Perry, the greatest interview in the history of interviews. And it was a great interview, by the way. You should go and watch it if you haven't seen it. Because Perry unloads. He goes through all of the stuff from his youth. And I would say those guys, knowing that now, and maybe they didn't know that when they were in the band, they should probably cut Steve some slack. But keeping the band going was the idea of Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain. They kept it going. Whether it was Steve Augeri as the singer. And again, you're always going to worry about the singer, because you're dealing with trying to replace the greatest singer that rock music has known, according to many. He's not my favorite, but he's in my top 5, probably. I haven't done the superlative thing in a long time. I used to just say randomly in my top 10, in my top 5. And there are too many people to actually put in a top 10 or a top 5. So you've got to give them that type of credibility. And Steve Perry, you could say he's my top 3. He's in my top 2. You know, he is that good. And these guys know he's that good. They know. And so it's not that, look, to apologize to the Steve Perry fans out there, Steve had a chance to come back. He didn't want to come back. So these guys kept it going. And the fact that they kept it going clearly helped the band get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, for sure. It clearly helped other people to continue to notice these amazing songs, including Don't Stop Believin'. So I think that's the case that Neil Schon is trying to make. He's not throwing shade at Steve Perry in a way that is diminishing Steve's ability. It's just like, hey, thank you, Steve, for what you did, but look what we did over here. All right. And somebody I think should be recognized, whether it's Neil Schon or Jonathan Cain or even Dean Castronovo, who's been with this band off and on for a very long time. And he's kind of been the glue, in a way, to keep things together. I know Dean, and I know he loves being in Journey, and his enthusiasm and his singing ability and his great drumming has kept this thing going. And of course, Arnel. I know there are people that don't like Arnel, right? And yeah, does Arnel have vocal issues? Yeah, but he's been in this band longer than any lead singer has, right? And when you consider that alone, you've got to give Arnel some props. Some people actually think he sounds better than I do. And I have debates and arguments. One thing about Arnel is he's not a prima donna. He doesn't think he's better than anybody out there. This is a relief for John and Neil because he's easy to work with and he'll do what they ask him to do. And this isn't a power struggle. This isn't like this creative battle where, someone has to have the last word. I think they probably appreciate that. Now, with that said, do they miss the chemistry, the writing chemistry that they had with Steve Perry? Yeah, because you've got somebody in the band who's going to be a yes man and who's living in the shadow of Steve Perry, right? So Arnel is going to be very humble and say, well, it's the other guy. It's not me. I'm just trying to hold down the fort here. I'm just trying to hit those notes the best I can at my age, which, by the way, Steve Perry wasn't in Journey at this age. I mean, Arnel is in his mid-50s now. Steve Perry had already moved on and was going to Giants games and lip syncing Don't Stop Believing, in the stands rooting for his favorite team, which is fine. Again, this isn't to knock Steve Perry. I know I've dealt with this since the early days of this channel, and I can't make everyone happy. All right. I just can't. I just try to tell things the way, call it like you see it. That's what I'm doing here. And I just think Neil deserves credit, John deserves credit, and Steve deserves credit. Obviously, everybody's parents, I guess, deserve credit. Jonathan Cain's dad deserves credit for the phrase, the whole "Don't Stop Believing" phrase. Neil Sean's dad deserves credit because he was extremely musical, right? Inspired his son. And yeah, Steve's parents were music lovers as well. So everybody's parents, right, deserves some credit here for "Don't Stop Believing." But bottom line, it's those three guys together. And here's my last point, right? And I promise this is going to be it. Wouldn't it be nice if these guys reconciled on a friendship level at this stage? Wouldn't it be nice? And they don't have to play music together. I know the hope is always, well, Steve should get back. And no, Steve's not going to get back in Journey. But Neil Sean wanted to go out for coffee. You can question Neil's motives. Steve questioned the motives and said, he just wants to work with me again. He doesn't really want to be my friend. That's what Steve Perry said in an interview. And Neil's like, no, let's just go out for coffee. We can talk, if Neil, John, and Steve got together and talked about the brand and talked about bringing more of the brand to the fans, how to manage this amazing franchise even better. All right. So long, I guess, as everybody's getting what they normally get as far as the split financially speaking. But Steve Perry does well. A fan or a follower recommended or said to me that, hey, Steve Perry, he was the one who remastered the catalog. And I mentioned that in a video. He's been overseeing all of the old material, which is very important. So if you had these three guys working together, they could create videos for older songs. They could get people interested in songs like, say, People in Places. Does anybody out there know People in Places, the song by Journey from, is it Evolution? I think it's Evolution or Departure. It's one of those albums, and this song is breathtaking. Imagine you do a video for that song and you put it out there, and maybe some classic rock radio stations start playing it like Stranger Things, like it just comes out of nowhere and people are like, whoa, I didn't know Journey did a song like this. This is incredible. Yeah, go listen to People in Places. You want to hear a great Journey song that rivals any song the band has ever done? Because it does. It's breathtaking. If you're a Journey junkie, you know that song and you're like, wow. But, I'm saying you could manage this. You could be working together as a team rather than kind of throwing commentary at one another. And so I could be wrong, but I'm thinking they should work together. They should be amicable at this stage in their lives. That's really what I'm getting at here. That Steve could have said, Neil, amazing, like he did at the Hall of Fame. Like, I mean, it's just like thanking your parents is fine. And then maybe say, hey, Neil, John, we did this together. I couldn't have done it without you guys. That's it. I think everybody in this band at one time or another has been a little bit selfish. They've been a little bit more about themselves. And a band is a relationship, just like when you're married. And you have to try to make the other party happy, even if you're having a bad day, even if you're thinking that guy over there, he's the problem. And so I'm going to work with him, but I'm not going to like it. I think in this situation where the money is so good that you might learn to deal with people that are driving you crazy. People do that in every job. They have to go to work and their boss is a bad person and or could be, right? Not everybody has a bad boss, maybe. But what I'm getting at here is that wouldn't it be nice if these guys just got along again and complimented each other, and maybe Steve Perry shows up at a gig. That's all. He doesn't have to sing. Maybe he just shows up at a gig and talks and thanks the fans for supporting the band for this long, which helped get Don't Stop Believin' like over that hurdle to a place that no other song has gone. Sound a little bit like Star Trek there? A song where no other song has gone. Don't Stop Believin'. So anyway, my apologies to all the Steve Perry fans. I did this in 2017. I did a couple of videos where I said something about Steve. I talked about maybe his state of mind and what he might have been going through and so forth. Someone had given me some information, and I remember putting it out there and then all hell breaking loose. And then I said, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm just going to take the video down. And I don't want to have to keep doing that so many years later. Steve is still here, which is awesome. Journey is still here, and they're on tour with Toto and then eventually Def Leppard. And Don't Stop Believin' is the #1 song in the universe. How about that, right? And again, check out People and Places. You want to hear a great Journey song? Put that in a video. Put that in a movie. Put that in a Stranger Things episode. And yeah, that thing will take off like a rocket. And I will be on the ground floor of that because I'm the guy who suggested it. People and Places. All right. I am so done. You can stick a fork in me. I will see you later.